Good evening. So I'm just going to talk through my trades that I've taken this week. I didn't put a video up yesterday because I was still in a trade and I hadn't actually come out of it until last night. So I'll talk through that trade that was yesterday, and then of course I took a buy today, which I'll talk through. I'll hopefully get these two trades out in the same video. Hopefully I'll not be too long. But the trade I took yesterday was based off of the 4 hour time frame. It was a higher time frame play. So as we sort of get into London session in and around this candle, excuse me, we can kind of see that we're stuck in this sort of range here, you know, and we're sort of creating higher supports. We're respecting the lows of the previous candles. So for me, buys made more sense. However, I wasn't trading during the morning, and I actually like the look of this 4 hour close, which closed at 10 a.m. And the reason I like this close is because we closed above resistance and we broke into a previous zone. Okay, now when price breaks into a previous zone, if we can remain within that zone, then we will likely go on to test the opposite end of that zone. Okay, now my trade idea wasn't based off of that zone at all. It was sort of based off of the daily time frame. It was based off of a continuation play, looking to complete this sort of triangle here. This is obviously the start of the move, and we're sort of in the middle of the move here, and I'm expecting or anticipating continuation to the upside. Now, between my entry and my target, I have what I've drawn here is this mid-range support and resistance zone. Awful lines, but the idea was to push up, hopefully with maybe some volume, you know, get a nice continuation and remain above this level. And if I just skip through a couple of hours, we can see here, so this is the 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. candle. So this is the last 4 hour of the daily candle. So this is how the daily closed. If I just skip to the daily, that's how that daily candle closed. Okay, and as you can see, this is a sort of idea I'm looking to play. We're above this daily support zone. We have closed with a strong 4 hour close in this zone. I'm looking to continue to fill up here and look to complete that sort of triangle. So if I skip back to the 4 hour, I have clean areas marked up here. Most recent, however, left, we can see it's quite messy. It's not the cleanest area. So what I was expecting was if we close above, which we have done, we should at least go on to test the top of this range. Now, we basically did do that within that candle. So what I'm expecting is I'm expecting this resistance zone to act as support. And as we can see, price did just do that. It pulled down, and we respected that as support on the lower time frames. So that's how the daily closed. Now, I was watching this trade last night, and it was like coming on to 10 o'clock, and I was saying to myself, do a close, do a get out of the position. I'm up 1% at this time. I'm up 60 pips. I'm thinking, do I remain in the trade? Do I close the trade? What I'm sort of thinking of is, well, the new daily candle is going to open. Typically opens with, you know, big spreads and either a sharp push or a sharp drop. So I'm thinking to myself, well, what if price opens up in my favor, right? But at the same time, I'm thinking to myself, well, what if price opens up against me? I don't want to be taking like a lot of drawdown. I don't want this to open up. Who knows where it's going to open up? It might open up down 10 pips, 20 pips. It could come all the way back down to entry. We don't know. So I'm sort of playing with that in my head. And from this close to this resistance is approximately about 20 pips. So what I'm thinking to myself, well, is there a chance if we maybe pull down here, if we can hold here and form some sort of support, and then we can maybe push up? Because the last thing I want is a 4 hour candle closing against me and closing below this resistance. Because what that means then is if we close below that resistance, there's every chance that when price pushes back up, that resistance will then hold, and we will basically have like a lower resistance to this, because that's going to be the candle that forms it. Now, we have had 1, 2, 3, 4 hours of continued upside. We're respecting those of the previous, but we haven't had a bearish candle. So what's to say one's going to come? One might not come. We might just open up straight into profit. Now, a lot of my trades I've been kind of getting out at 0.5%, usually because my data tells me. So in this scenario, I'm up double, right? In that perspective. So what I decided to do was just watch price on the open. And if I just skip to the 30 or the 30-minute time frame, we can kind of see what price done on the new daily candle when it opened. So that's the first 30 minutes, right? So price dropped down quickly, and then we sort of recovered, and we were sort of holding above this level. Like, this is where I wanted to see us hold above, because for continuation, we close above, we come back into previous levels of structure, and then we continue. And with this being a 4-hour resistance zone, I would prefer us to remain above. You know, essentially, because this is the most recent support and resistance, price can come the whole way down here, form its support before it continues up. But if price comes all the way back down there, that's sort of like, that's not something I would really want to see. So what I done was I just watched price. So we form sort of like a higher support here. It's a weak support. Next candle breaks the support, but it's still respecting this sort of, you know, support zone across the board. And then we sort of start to come down. So as we start to come down here, we start to break this low, and we push down slightly. I basically close my position. So I closed my position, and I got out of my position at approximately 0.5% gain, right? I was in a position where I was up a full percent. When I reflect back on this trade, I feel like I mismanaged this. I feel like I should have just closed leading up to the close of the daily candle, you know. But I think seeing where we were and where we came from, and the sort of higher time frame vision and plan I had for price, you know, I wanted to see it continue. And I think a little bit of greed maybe set in with not just taking the full percent and getting out, because what I was thinking was, well, rather than thinking about price opening up against me, what I was thinking to myself was, well, what if price actually opens up in my favor? And what if I close out here, and then as soon as the open hits, price shoots up an extra 20-30 pips like it's did on the downside, only in my favor? Then I would be saying to myself, well, God, you should have stayed in the trade. But that's the wrong mindset, because I should have been happy with what price gave me leading to that point. And yeah, I should have got out of the trade. So it was still a winning trade, but I definitely feel like I could have managed it a lot better. So that's on me with that one. So we're up 0.5%, and if I just skip through, if I just remove this, let me see, and if I just bring on my levels here, okay, right, so I'm just going to skip through to London session today. And where are we? So we're at the open, we've got one more candle. So this trade today for me was a poor trade. I took a buy against my session bass when there was no buys. You know, buys didn't really make sense. For one, I'm trading against my session bass. Two, I'm trading in a range. Three, I'm trading into resistance. Four, we have a weak hourly support. Five, God, it's just a crap trade, you know. So if I sort of break this down, we can see how our session bass is bearish based on these two 4-hour candles, but we are bullish overall. So because I was in that higher time frame trade yesterday, I think I get sort of sidetracked and I was trading what I wanted to see rather than what's on the chart. You know, I was trading what I wanted price to do, what I wanted to happen, but instead I sort of ignored what price was telling me. And price was telling me that we're not going up. You know, this 4-hour candle done what I was talking about previously in terms of what we hadn't seen. We hadn't seen a bearish close. The fact that this closed below the previous low and broke that, and then this 4-hour has also done the same. So we can see that because we're respecting the supports, all the lows all the way up, we're doing this on the way up. And then because we're respecting the highs and breaking the lows on the way down, the change in structure is now to the downside. So, you know, this could be bullish for the day, but for my session, I should be selling, right? I should be looking for sales. Now, I think the reason why I wasn't really liking sales is because where we were, I wasn't comfortable trading into this. I wasn't comfortable, you know, trading below this, because we're basically just trading into a daily support zone, and we're trading in, again into another support there. But if that's the case, then there's no trade. You know, we don't have to trade every day. I don't have to trade every day, but I think I get sort of just sidetracked with the sort of higher time frame trade I was in yesterday, and I wanted to see this, and I was like, right, as soon as we get a close above a support or a resistance, sorry, I'm going to take a buy. And I'll kind of talk you through this trade. Now, I wasn't targeting my original position, I was just targeting the sort of the resistance on the time frame I was trading. Anything further would have been continuation, but if I just break this down here, so this is the first hour of the new 4-hour. So this is where we get the support, okay? Now, this support is a weak support, okay? So what I'm thinking is, well, what we're doing is we're pushing up, we're pulling back into this sort of support and resistance. We're feeling here, we're feeling the breakdown, obviously because of where we are and the sort of direction we're going. We then form a support. Now this support is a shit support and a weak support because we're still trading within the previous candle, and it's clearly evident what we're doing is we're doing this. So when I seen this support, I was like, okay, it's a support, but I knew that it wasn't a strong support because we're basically trading into a support zone. So there's every chance, and price has already done it, it's already rejected off the support, and there's every chance that price is just going to do this, okay? Because at the end of the day, we're doing this in the market, short term session. So what I done was I was on the 30-minute time frame. This looked more appealing to me. Now when you look at the 1 hour, it doesn't look that great, right? But when you go to 30-minute, it does look a bit better. And the reason for me that it looks better is because I'm looking at this as we have had a heavy push down. We've got an hour here of price doing nothing. Why isn't price down here? Well, price isn't down here because of what we have to the left, right? And then we have a big bullish candle which closes above the high of the previous two candles, so it engulfs those. So I'm like, right, this is a good sign. Now this is where I should have bought from. I should have had a buy from here, targeting the resistance, stops below the support, any sort of that's going to give me my 0.5, right, that my data says. Any sort of thing further is going to be continuation, which is going to be great. If you want to target that, go for it, right? But I wasn't actually involved in this trade because I wasn't actually up at this time, and that's on me. I wasn't prepared enough because I should have been at the charts at this time. Okay, now when I seen this candle close, to me this was a good sign, because I'm thinking, right, okay, we've closed above resistance. At this time the 1 hour was still open, okay, so this is the first half an hour. So what I'm thinking is I'm anticipating with a bit of volume in the market here that we're going to get another 30-minute candle which is going to push up to there, right? So what that's going to give us on the hourly time frame is the 1 hour support that we have down here, which is going to be like this. That's our 1 hour support. Then we're going to have a 1 hour confirmation, which is going to be these two candles in here. So that's going to look like our hourly support, and that's a strong support, right? But what are we doing? We're buying into resistance, resistance, resistance. We're buying against our session bias. We're buying against into bearish 4 hour candles. And the hour is still open, so there's every chance that the next 30 minutes pushes down, and then what we end up with is an hourly candle which looks like that, and we close below the resistance. So although we had a 30-minute candle which closed above the 1 hour resistance, which is a good sign, because the hour is still open and where we are in the market, there's every chance that what has happened, okay? And again, look, we're in a shit range. When you scroll out and you think to yourself, where's the best places to trade? Is trading in there really good? Do you know? Even in here, not great. You know what I want to be capturing is this, the easy moves. You know, like this is just choppiness. It's not great. It's indecision. There's reactions everywhere. It's just not great. Essentially, looking left above here, looking to maybe push up to here, because we're just ping-ponging in here, and you can see all this wick and stuff. It's just not nice price action. So what I done was, when I entered, basically we just rejected straight away. We tried to push up, and then we started to push down, and as we started to push down quite heavily, I just closed the position. I wasn't happy, and it was sort of, I shouldn't have been in the position. Essentially, it wasn't a great trade, but I think it was kind of, like I mentioned, sort of sidetracked from the sort of trade I was in yesterday. And as well as that, my sort of win rate with breakout candles closing above Asian range is 75%. So that also gave me a bit of added confidence regardless of the direction, you know, because I have a 75% win rate of getting a 1-to-1 with a breakout candle. So when this broke out and broke above, I was thinking to myself, well, I'm only targeting to the top here, which is, you know, 0.76, 0.8. If I have a 75% chance of getting a 1-to-1, then there's probably even a higher chance of me getting to my actual target because it's less than a 1-to-1. So that's my two trades from this week so far. Trade mismanaged yesterday, or I could have done better, but it was still a winning trade, which is great. And then today I just sort of got, I took a bad trade, but it's definitely one I can learn from, because it kind of goes against everything we sort of set out to do. I was sort of buying when there wasn't a trade there. I was sort of looking for a trade rather than, so I was just kind of thinking, well, any support is going to be the push up, when realistically it's not. And if we just sort of play out what happened today, price sort of broke down, and once we sort of got below the support, we were able to push down into this most recent support. So not great, but I'll get this uploaded, so appreciate you watching, and yeah, any questions, give us a shout.